Good evening and welcome to Stupid O'Clock News. I'm Lewis Lee. Touchdown! NASA's Perseverance rover has touched down on the red planet. On schedule at 12:55 Pacific time today, the lander touched down in Jezero Crater, a place scientists believe was a massive lake at one time. Now Perseverance will collect samples from the surface and drill for others. The samples will be brought back by a future mission. In addition to collection of samples, NASA is testing a 4-pound helicopter to see if it's possible to fly on another planet with only 1/100th the atmosphere of Earth. Should be quite a... We're getting the first 3D pictures in from the surface of the red planet. Oh, no, that's actually a donut from Krispy Kreme. They had a special on today. But you get the message. That's the news. On with the show.
Okay, how does it taste?
Not bad. Not bad. It's a caramel icing. Caramel icing I can do without, but the chocolate filling is killer.
Really? All right, real quick, John.
Yes.
You started the show.
No, I did, but you hit the button, didn't you?
I went ahead and started the broadcast because you didn't do that. And you were 45 seconds early.
Yeah. So most people joined us halfway through the Star Spangled Banner.
That threw me off. Because I'm looking at the timer going like, wait, why are we starting so early?
Yeah.
Why are we starting so...
Well, I'm looking up this is scheduled, and I'm like...
Yeah. I was looking at the clock.
Shouldn't that be red and ticking?
and also that was to say, I was looking at it, I was like, he didn't start the broadcast. Is he going to start the broadcast? We're already like halfway through the Star Spangled Banner. I'll start it, I guess.
I get to do this once every 2 months. Come on. Ain't like I got a lot of practice here.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, everyone. That was.
Oh, but yeah.
I was just worried about that. That was weird.
It was, John was with us. Well, thank you, Facebook user, stopping by to say hello. Hope all are well. Yeah, we're all well, but we
don't know who you are.
Yeah, Facebook has forgot you if you've done any type of
if you cleared your cookies. Yeah, if you cleared your cookies, jump back in to hit the StreamYard thingy and let them know that, hey, that it's okay. I don't remember what the link is. Is it just StreamYard.com?
StreamYard.com/Facebook.
Yes, go there. No, John, were you there for the landing?
I was.
It happened while I was at work.
On Mars.
Well, not at JPL, but you know.
Yeah, were you there on Mars?
I was on Mars. Yes.
But no,
my arms tired.
I didn't get to see it. I saw the thing go up, Joe, but you didn't. You were only doing it on Facebook, so I didn't get to watch.
Yeah, I only stream rocket stuff to Facebook because of YouTube will kick you off in a heartbeat.
Oh, that's a shame because I wanted to watch along with you guys, but because it's on Facebook, I can't have Facebook stream going at the same exact time as my GPS. It freaks it out.
Yeah.
So
I managed to start the recording of Armchair Rocket Science around 7:30, 8 o'clock. So actually, I walked in the door from work and heard them say, touchdown, and started clapping their hands. Lindsay's going, I wanted you to see it. Oh.
Well, that is awesome. I'm super happy about that. Especially the part that Lewis said at the very end of his report that I didn't know about. The helicopter experiment is going to be super cool.
Yeah, it's hard enough for a helicopter in our atmosphere to beat the air into submission, but with 1/100th of the atmosphere,
we were talking about that earlier. Apparently, it's a counter-rotating blade on it.
Yeah,
yep.
One goes one way, one goes the other, and apparently, your average drone. Joe was talking about this. Your average drone is the propellers on it are moving about 300 RPM.
Yeah, this is going to be 2,600.
It's some god awful amount. It's like a jet
my favorite
turbine.
frequency.
It's
That's a blue box joke.
That's the RPMs of the tractor while I was plowing.
yeah. There's actually a video on YouTube of them testing the drone tethered inside the vacuum chamber,
Yeah, I've seen that.
and it is screaming.
2,600 RPM was about as high as my engine was going today at work.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't build a blimp.
Yeah.
I don't. Atmospheric pressure might not go over so well with a blimp.
Well, it's much lower pressure, but it's CO2. CO2 is a little heavier than nitrogen oxygen.
Yeah, you know what? But it's a great experiment. They need to do
1% of what Earth's atmosphere is.
They need to do that. See if they can get a dirigible on Mars.
If a parachute worked for slowing it down, you'd think a balloon would work.
Well, yeah, but it's atmospheric pressure. The pressure between the inside and the outside of the dirigible would not be the same as it would on Earth, but that would be a cool experiment.
Also, we've got the rover that's digging for dirt. We've got the helicopter that's going to try powered flight, controlled flight. There's a third thing that's new for this rover that I'm very interested in, and that is the microphone. We'll be able to hear what Mars sounds like for the first time.
Wow.
And me being a video audio guy, I'm really into that. And once again, though, the thinner air pressure is going to really play into that. How well is sound going to travel in 1/100th of pressure of Earth?
That's a really good
question. Things will be quieter.
Things will be
quieter.
Yeah.
But but no, my question, and I think Lewis, you might be the person to answer this. My question is that all things being equal, right? Mm-hmm. We talk about lower pressure within Earth. That's the lower pressure is usually with sound and stuff like that. Is usually in controlled chambers, right? This is going to be atmospheric. And it's going to be equal on all sides. It's going to be a universal pressure.
It'll be environmental.
Yeah, environmental. That's the word I meant to use. Not universal. Mm-hmm. Environmental pressure. Will that change how the microphone reacts? Because it's not going to be exerting the pressure directly to the microphone because everything's equalized. It's going to be like being in a fuselage.
Inside the microphone, there's a very thin diaphragm. Yes. The diaphragm is connected directly to a coil, which creates an electric current with the vibration of the diaphragm. Now, with 1/100th the air pressure that you have on Earth, how much is that diaphragm going to move?
That's
and did NASA take this into consideration and create a microphone with a much lower resistance to compensate?
What if?
From what I've heard, the microphone is an off-the-shelf, maybe Logitech.
What? Oh, come on! They could do better than that.
But it's an off-the-shelf, store-bought microphone.
And I think I can answer Skunk's blimp question. The tanks of helium would increase the weight of the lander so much. You'd have to have a dedicated thing that was going to you'd have to give up some experiments to be able to have the weight allowance to get the helium there. Now,
it doesn't have to be a big balloon.
I was going to.
No, it doesn't.
Be the size of a party balloon.
Yeah.
So you could send up compressed helium in a canister
cartridge,
less than a pound.
Yeah.
The CO2 cartridge that you would use in paintball.
because it's a CO2 atmosphere, you might not even have to use helium.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah, it would be
hydrogen,
the safest thing.
you know,
You use oxygen.
And here's the other thing that I'm going to say, right? Because there's multiple different kinds of microphones, right? The most 4 common types, right, are you have the diaphragm microphones, like Lewis was talking about. You have the coil induction microphones. You have ribbon microphones, and then you got those weird charcoal ones they used to use way back in the day with the weird charcoal filter thing on them.
Yeah, but that requires way too much pressure.
Yeah.
Because those
there
are for
are
like the old phones and stuff
on
like that.
Perseverance.
So that makes me wonder, right? Because they use this Logitech one. If it's a Logitech one, it's probably a regular dynamic with the coil in it.
Yeah, Logitech is always going to be a cardioid, or not cardioid, condenser.
Yeah,
this is a condenser mic.
So
Now,
the question remains: what happens if they use some? They should try out all the different microphone types and see how it's affected by the pressure, just for scientific reasons. I think that would be fantastic. That's what they should do.
Yeah. Now here's another thing. It also rolled video on the way down.
Oh, did it? Has that downloaded yet?
No, it won't be. It won't be beamed up to the MRO and then to Earth. Probably, Joe. You said like tomorrow.
Tomorrow, it'll be the next few days. Like one MRO's got to be in range. To send direct from Perseverance to Earth, it can only upload 3 kilobits a minute.
They need to get EPD to do this.
Yeah,
that's slower than dial-up.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Let me read y'all something.
MRO Perseverance to MRO is 300 kilobits a minute.
Yeah, no.
But from MRO to Earth, what's the rate there?
A lot better. I don't know what it is to Earth, but it can MRO can send a bigger package.
MRO being Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter.
Yep.
I just thought about something.
Man, I thought the military had a bunch of acronyms, but good God, listening to NASA this afternoon, it was like.
So
well, I suggested they were looking for a name at one time. The Operational Orbital Personnel System.
Oops.
Yeah, but since they like acronyms, we had the lift off of oops. That may not go over too well.
No, I think
I would avoid the
Skunk's
skunk.
next.
Oops.
I want to hear what Skunk's question is.
You were going to say skunk?
If you have been in a Magnolia Design Center, which is the really high end stuff they sell at Best Buy, you might have seen the completely flat speaker.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that works is it's 2 pieces of mylar, and one is positively charged and one is negatively charged, and it reads the difference between them. That might be enough to be able to pick up some if they made a really big one of those, it might be enough to be able to pick up some really good sounds from that. But that would be some technology. It'd be so expensive that the only people who could build a microphone with that stuff would be NASA or Tesla. One of the two.
All right.
Well, I mean, that's all a microphone is a speaker working in reverse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they reverse the polarity on that, on one of those, but I mean, they would have to build it to be able to withstand the not the atmospheric pressure, but the dust. We don't know. I mean, we know there's dust up there. We don't know. It could be like lunar dust, which will cut through anything.
Skunk.
Yeah, really, it's very coarse particles.
The lunar lander that we used in the 60s, you know, that shiny stuff on the outside? That was Mylar.
Yeah, that's Mylar.
So Mylar can handle
the
extraterrestrial conditions.
Have they used Mylar on Mars? Though I don't know.
It's actually an insulator too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
right on. Yeah.
Space
That's good
blankets.
to know. So this is already like part A of this is done. They just need to build the speaker with it, or not the speaker, but the microphone. God, would that be cool? I want to hear what Mars sounds like. I want this to work. That is, Lewis just made me more excited about that than the helicopter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I work with sound all day, every day, so I'm very in tune.
You know, the very first sandstorm the rover has to undertake with that microphone going is going to be epic, and we're talking almost Ride of the Valkyries sort of epic.
Well, no, I think it's gonna be that song.
No, here's what it's going to sound like.
Yep.
For about 7, 8 hours.
Or it's not gonna, or
it could sound like that for 2 or 3 days.
I was gonna say it might not sound like anything at all. That's the other thing too.
Yeah,
it might be the sandstorm coming through might have so much pressure that it just mutes because there's no difference between point A and point B.
I not disputing you, but I would bet the opposite. I would bet that the only thing that you'll hear in the sandstorm, you'll hear a little rumble, but you'll probably mostly hear particles hitting the microphone. I don't think you're going to hear that much air. I mean, at 1/100th the pressure, that's a near vacuum. So,
well, I meant that a sandstorm would increase the pressure. One of those sandstorms like that, if I remember correctly, those are they're basically the tornadoes of Mars. So anything that would affect the wind coming off of one of those affecting the microphone will be like if you held a microphone up to something that was blowing out air really hard. It goes, you hear it for a second, and then you don't hear anything anymore because there's no difference. It's not moving any to make a change.
Yeah.
Which is entirely possible. That happens in hurricanes all the time when they're filming. In Lewis, you know that you've worked in the news. You've seen that where the wind will blow really hard, and the microphone will go out for like 2 or 3 seconds and then come back.
Yeah. It pegs the diaphragm.
Mm-hmm.
I like
wide open throttle. And by the way, y'all be happy to know that speaking of wide open throttle, I only got quote unquote stuck in the snow once today at work.
What's
by that what I mean is that I was past Mont Eagle today. That's my new route is past Mont Eagle, so I go like Winchester and Tullahoma and stuff. I was at a dealership in Tullahoma, and they didn't do a very good job clearing out part of their driveway that I was trying to leave out of. It was when I tried to pull away, my tires started spinning. I just backed up, waited for it to be clear, and gunned it. I was like, I'm getting through the snow. That worked. I got right out onto the road and just went. But it was the only snow I ran into all day. The roads have been pretty clear up there. There's a lot of snow though, and it's very, very gorgeous. A little bright for me though. I'm like, all right. I almost feel like I need to put on a second pair of sunglasses because everything around me is white. But only up there and
kind of like being at a Trump rally.
Oh,
let's not go there.
I believe the snowstorm is probably a little bit darker.
Lewis is swinging low tonight. I see.
Swinging for the fences, man.
It wasn't a miss.
Picking the easy fruit.
Oh, that's true. But no, once I got up there to Mont Eagle, well, the other thing that I saw a lot of today, besides snow, when I was up there on Mont Eagle and past Mont Eagle was fog. Mostly saw the fog on Mont Eagle. The fog was really bad, but I think it's because of the temperature being lower, the cloud coverage just dropped a little bit. The clouds aren't very high up in the sky.
I mean, does Mont Eagle ever really get fog, or is it just low clouds? That's 2,000 feet.
Once it touches the ground, once it touches the ground anywhere, even if it's on top of a mountain, it's fog.
That's no fun.
And he's
I like to say I'm driving through the clouds.
Well, these Goobers are driving through the clouds without their headlights on.
Yeah, well,
And I'd be going
And
and I
doing
was
70 miles an hour, probably.
Some of them were, yeah. Some of them were.
Well,
I'm just driving, doing my regular thing. I'm doing the speed limit. I'm going. I'm just driving down the road. I'm heading between. I'm going from. I forget what the one city was. I'm just learning this route because I've only done it twice now. And I'm going between two cities. I know that the next city I'm going to is Manchester. I don't remember where I was coming out of. I think Altamont. Altamont. I'm going Altamont to Manchester. And I'm just driving, and it's a long drive of just nothing. There's farmland on either side of me. I'm just going. Countryside.
Welcome to Coffee County.
Right? Exactly. You know the area. And I'm driving, and then all of a sudden, boom, there goes a Jeep. And I had to check the wetness of my clothes after that one. Because I was this close to thinking I peed myself because it scared the hell out of me. It was terrifying. And then I also had the exact opposite problem, though. It's like I get it. It's foggy. It's very cold. There's snow on the ground. The roads are wet. And you have no idea where there might be black ice. At the same exact time, though, I'm stuck behind this Toyota. And I'm just like, dude, come on, man. You don't have to do 5 miles an hour. It's not that bad. Speed it up, man. You're blocking traffic. Actually, I had somebody who purposely got in the left lane and wouldn't let me pass them, or the semi truck that was in the right lane. Like they were looking back at me like, you can't pass them. Y'all are doing 10. You're doing 10 in a 55. Let me go.
That reminds me of when I was running what they call running relay for the salt and sand relays at, for the city.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
The truck I had was a 95 Ford with the 6-speed manual. Here I am with, a load of sand going down Bailey. This is when Bailey was one way up through the tunnel.
Yeah.
This guy would, there's only one lane cleared out going through there. This guy would get in front of me and slow down and almost stop on grades going up. I'd have to downshift. And then once I'd downshift, he'd take off. And then I'd get going again, and he'd slow down in front of me again. Just intentionally slowing, being a jerk. When we came through the tunnels, I made a run. I was able to make a run at the tunnels to where I could get beside him. And when we came out, it narrowed down to one lane, and I got in front of him. He shot over into the snow lane to try to pass me. And all I did was ease over towards him just a little bit. And the next thing I knew, I saw him through my mirror doing this. Of course, I immediately reported it on the radio to my bosses. Hey, this guy's been stopping in front of me. He tried to pass me, and for some reason, he spun out. You may want to call somebody to check on him.
Sometime next spring.
Hey, John, that sweatshirt had a hood, man. You look just like a monk.
I think he's got it on backwards.
Or a cultist.
Same thing. Yes, and I said that, and I'm Catholic, so there you go.
Now you just look like Igor.
Wasn't that hump on the other side?
What hump?
No.
Now we know who's got a delay.
Not like that here. Just do that.
Oh man. Joe reminded me of something.
Show of hands. Who has a bidet? I'm enjoying it. It's
I could go get a water bottle.
I run a garden hose.
Did you install it, or did
Yeah.
you have,
Tried
okay.
doing it.
That was real easy.
Okay, so
Basically, just huh?
I remember last time you went to get a kitchen faucet, you ended up remodeling the basement.
Yeah, I know. But no, this time I ordered it from Amazon. And you basically just tap into the same supply line that supplies the toilet with fresh water. You just tap into that, and this one even has dual temperature. So I ran another line over to the hot water that goes up to the faucet and tapped into that one. So you can get warm water on your tushy.
If you're going to sit there long enough for it to get warm.
Well, no, there's a trick to that. You just reach over and turn on the hot water faucet until it gets warm. There you go.
By the way,
I can't reach the faucet from our toilet.
I can. So
that was Blake earlier who said hi at the very beginning of the night. I just looked at that. I was looking at Facebook trying to figure out who texted me, but don't have a message from anybody, so I have no idea. And I guess I need to grab my phone and find out what that was about. Hey, Joe, you made me think about something.
What?
Somebody posted on Facebook or on Twitter earlier. Not Facebook, Twitter. Posted on Twitter earlier. They were all like talking about how the new Ford F-150 is groundbreaking. It's going to change the game, right? Because the seats fold all the way down. The front seats will fold all the way down until they're completely flat. And my response to that was, well, that's nothing new. You could do that in a Pinto. And I know, and Joe knows that I know. I slept in that. I've used that Pinto as a tent before a tree fell on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it also has a built-in alternator. Well, not inverter that you can plug 120 tools in the back and run them without having to have a generator. Just have the truck idling, and it's a high output inverter, and you can run power tools on it. So that's a game changer to me.
They've had that in the Fords for a while, though. We've got a
that was Chevrolet.
No, we've got a Ford E-Class van, Econoline at work. I mean, it's beat all the crap, and it's got like 500,000 miles on it, but it's got two plugins built into it. They're in the dash, unfortunately, which is like that.
Well, this is out back by the tailgate. That's where you can actually use a tool.
Exactly, that's neat. But no, Ford's been putting the inverters in their vehicles for a while now, for about 10 years.
My dad's
not putting the plugs in the right place.
Yeah. My dad's 2017 Tacoma's got that in the bed.
Was he finished?
I guess he was.
He either hit the wrong button or
John.
I didn't do it.
He shut his camera off, but he didn't mute his mic. All right.
Oh.
I am interested to see how long this. They say this Rover's supposed to have a 2-year lifespan.
Which means it'll last 8.
Well, Curiosity was only supposed to have a 1 year, and it's on its 3rd.
Yeah, and what about the one before that?
Spirit and Opportunity.
Man, did they outlive their expectations?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
supposed to be what, 6 months, and it lasted 20 years?
90 days.
Oh,
I still want to get a T-shirt with Opportunities last words.
Yeah.
Man, that is like
My battery,
so creepy and cool.
My
at the same
battery's
time.
low, and it's getting dark.
And it's getting dark. Oh man, it's like, is this thing sentient?
That would be so horrible to set something up on Mars. It becomes sentient and dies.
Yeah, that would suck. But it is still the only planet that we know of that's inhabited entirely by robots.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Titan, but
Are you still pushing that ragged old theory?
Oh no, you've read that book?
Is hold up, wait a minute. Titan.
I don't know what ragged old theory you're talking about. I'm talking about a James C. Hogan novel.
Oh,
Titan's
no, I have not read that.
Titan's not a planet.
No, technically it's not, but
it's a planet-sized moon.
Yeah, I think Titan's
Tiny,
probably a little bigger than Earth.
No, Titan is almost Mars size.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost as big as Mars.
Is it bigger than Pluto?
Yeah, much.
Oh, then it's a planet.
Pluto's only about as big as Texas.
I honestly thought Titan was smaller than Pluto. I really did. No.
Well, one theory was that Jupiter could have been a sun if it had just spun up enough for it to, because it's a gas giant.
Yep.
It just never ignited. I mean, it's got enough moons that they could have been planets. You know, we could have
My understanding is
solar system.
it just doesn't have enough mass to
Right.
contract and get the fusion going.
Right.
It needed to be a bit bigger.
Yeah.
Now, Lewis, you
It's
say
a
that like
pale
it could have been a
brown
mini
dwarf.
solar system, but if it was a mini solar system, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, we might.
I mean, there
Depends
are
on how much
binary
radiation it would put out.
binary stars
Hey,
out
Nick.
there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it would be the temperature on this planet. We would if we were still here. If that had happened, we would definitely not be as. We wouldn't be the same creatures we are now. There would be little
No.
amoebas doing this over over street.
I wouldn't be cold right now because it'd be about 10 degrees warmer.
10.
It's about it. Yeah.
10 degrees warmer.
It's a long way off. And it's a little bitty thing.
If
Compared to the
Jupiter-
sun,
if
it's a little
Jupiter
bitty
had-
thing.
If Jupiter had lit, it would have been as bright as just a tad brighter than a full moon.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you say 2010, the year we make contact?
Oh
And-
God, it was.
And it
years
is
ago,
what,
and I
over
remember-
twice a
Love
distance
that movie.
than
Love
Mars
that
is.
movie.
You like it more than
Maybe 4
2001?
times.
No, not more, but it answered questions, and I am a curious guy. I've got to have answers.
Sometimes I don't want the questions answered. I really like Cube, and by the way, if you didn't hear, there's a Japanese film company that's going to do a remake of Cube, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, you mentioned that in the last show, actually.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. It's out of print, but there is actually the 2001 2010. There's actually a trilogy.
Yeah.
Well, I knew
Arthur
there was a
Clarke
trilogy.
did write a
and,
third.
the novels were a trilogy. I
Yeah,
didn't know there was a
Yeah.
trilogy in film.
there's
No.
the novels were a trilogy, but it's out of print, and you can't find. I think it's 2110. Is that what the?
No, 20.
It's 2050.
2030.
I thought. That was 2050.
It was farther along.
Yeah. But no, oh, that totally derailed what I was thinking about. Where was I? I was talking about something. Cube remake. Yeah. Okay, all right. So the movie Cube, the first one, has a specific ending. Now, I'm not going to spoil it for anybody if you haven't seen it, but it has a very specific ending that leaves some questions. And then Cube Zero came out, which was the prequel that answered those questions. And it was like, please never answer those questions ever again, because that sucked. And that's kind of how I feel about that. Not fully to the same extent, because Cube Zero is just it's a good movie, but it's a bad movie. It's a so bad it's good movie, but it's bad. And 2010 is not on that level. It's a really good flick, But I watched 2010 when I found out about it. I watched it years ago when I was a kid. I've only seen it once. I barely remember it. And I just remember thinking this isn't what I thought it would be. Like, I was super excited when I found out there was a 2001.
I was a big Roy Scheider fan, so that helped.
Yeah.
Roy Scheider and anything.
Yeah.
Roy Scheider and anything is fantastic.
Blue Thunder, baby.
Wow.
Blue
No,
Thunder
I
had one of the
Blew that
greatest
creepy
lines.
Brit right out of the sky.
Now I like the whatever happened to theories, and you can find it on YouTube. It's called Grayson. It's where Dick Grayson has, grown up. He's middle-aged. He's in his late 30s.
How do we go from Jupiter to Robin?
Yeah,
That's what I was curious about.
it was the sequels
Ow,
and
whiplash.
whatever. You can snap too hard to the right.
Lewis.
Uh-huh.
Never mind.
But
I'm not
yeah,
even gonna
check
go
it
there.
out. It's a great story. I had the script at one time, and it never made it past the concept trailer. But pretty much, Dick Grayson tries to discover who murdered Batman.
Batman's
Spoiler
been
alert.
murdered?
Batman's
Spoiler
been
alert.
murdered.
Spoiler alert, it was Joker.
Yeah,
That's what I would assume anyway.
yeah.
This should have been his first question and the answer in general. But hey, conceptual stuff like that's really neat. Marvel has a great series called What Ifs, where it's a single issue. It's not a full story, but it's something along the lines of like, one of them was, what if the Fantastic Four was different people, right? Rather than having, it was different superheroes. Same storyline, and the same things happen, but instead it's these four superheroes and their specific set of powers and what would happen. So, what if there was another one? Is what if if I remember correctly, it was like what if I think one of them was what if Squirrel Girl was part of the X-Men? Because technically she's not.
Wait,
There was
she was with the Midwest Avengers, if I remember correctly.
Great Lakes Avengers.
Great Lakes Avengers.
Yep. Which and we were having me and a buddy were having a conversation earlier. They were talking about we were talking about the new Mortal Kombat trailer that had come out. It was Audrey. I was talking with Audrey from Scrubhouse, and they were talking about the new Mortal Kombat trailer with me. And I said the way I would have done that movie if I was doing if I was going to do a series of films about Mortal Kombat, a series of films, not just one. But if I was going to make it into a series, I'd do it MCU style. And the way that I would do it, I explained, was that I would start off with like basically retelling the story of the first film, or the first game rather, and then just do spin-offs from there. Do like, get the Johnny Cage movie and the Black Dragon movie and the tale between Scorpion and Sub-Zero and what they all did and all that other stuff. And Audrey was like, I wouldn't do it that way, because you're starting off with the tournament itself, where all of the characters are going to be at once. Instead, you should do it the other way around, where you introduce characters and build to that moment. It's sort of like Endgame, like with the Avengers. Like, you build to that moment where everybody's there all fighting at the same exact time. I said, so you'd start with the weakest character first? And they were like, yeah, because Captain Marvel's the strongest character in the MCU. And I get what they were saying, but at the same time, I was like, no, Iron Man's the strongest character in the MCU.
No. Now,
Iron Man's the character that they can never get away from now. He became the main guy. The strongest character, and then I said the strongest character in Marvel is Squirrel Girl, and you can't deny that, because Squirrel Girl wins at everything. Squirrel Girl beat Doctor Doom and Deadpool when he was evil. So I love Squirrel Girl. She's a favorite.
Has anybody seen where I posted up the trailer to the Cruella DeVille?
I saw
Wasn't
it.
interested enough to watch it.
Thank you, Lewis, because that was my thing too. I don't care. They're trying to capture the same success that they got with Maleficent. The difference there being that Maleficent was somebody who was acting out because she was shunned, and she was very hurt about that. There's a sympathy there. There is no sympathy for Cruella DeVille. She's literally, I want to kill puppies. She's a bad person. Let's not make a movie glorifying her at all, no matter how fabulous she is.
And why try to make? From what I saw, you took just a Disney villain and turned them into a supernatural DC supervillain.
Some people were saying that. I think you were the ones that said it. I've seen other people say it too. That were like, "Why did they give her supernatural powers?" And I'll be like, "I really don't want to watch this trailer now. That sounds like the dumbest thing I've ever heard." Especially because she doesn't have them in either of the other two 101 Dalmatians movies that are out there, including the one with Glenn Close, which would be the one that I'd be I want to see Glenn Close with superpowers. I think that'd be awesome because I like Glenn Close.
And I'm sorry, if they were going to do a live action, if they were going to do a live action 101 Dalmatians, they should have done it 20 years ago and had Phyllis Diller as Cruella DeVille.
Joe Dog, the thing
would have reworked.
I'm pretty sure they did it 20 years ago with Glenn Close.
But they should have put Phyllis Diller.
Yeah, but she wouldn't have been as good as. She wouldn't have been as good as Phyllis Diller in that part.
No,
it was.
It was.
Hey. I want to point out. I want to point out.
I don't want to see Reba play villains.
I was accurate. On that. I wasn't exact, but yeah, it was over 20 years ago.
But weren't you wrong on Skunk? That's new. I had to load in, and you not being wrong is a rare occurrence. So do expand.
It was over 20 years ago, actually. The 101 Dalmatians live action film came out in '96.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Nick needs curled mustaches.
And again, I think Glenn Close. I think Glenn Close would have been is better than Phyllis Diller in that role. You got to have somebody who's got that. There was a reason why Glenn Close was in The Devil Wears Prada. She's got to be somebody that's
presence. You're talking about presence.
I was gonna say that.
Was that Glenn Close?
That wasn't Glenn Close.
That was Meryl Streep.
That was Meryl Streep. Yeah.
In which
Devil Wears Prada?
Is that Meryl Streep?
That was Meryl Streep.
Oh,
no, Glenn Close. Glenn Close was in another very scary film for men. That was Fatal Instinct.
Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction. Yeah.
I think you're thinking of Basic Instinct.
Well, no, that was Sharon Stone.
I was going to say that's Sharon Stone.
I'm sorry.
Man of our generation who doesn't.
There's a lot of
in that movie.
I was just thinking about the leg crossing scene, and I just lost.
There's a lot of scenes.
Now,
there's a lot of movies. Not just
never deigned to watch that.
There's not a lot of scenes. There's a lot of movies in general that make the ladies seem very scary. But there's a lot more movies that make men seem very scary. So I'll take it.
Jessica Lange would have been a good Cruella DeVille too.
She really is a bitch.
Who do they catch?
Wow, Lewis,
what is with you tonight, man?
Lewis is fire tonight. I'm loving it.
Look, I worked on the movie Everybody's All American with her and Dennis Quaid and John Goodman.
Yeah.
And she was a bitch. That and that little devil spawn of hers from the Russian dancer, Baryshnikov, back when she was shacking up with him. Oh, God.
I bet you don't have a
No. She was a terror on the set. Okay, everybody on the crew hated her guts. But
Now, I actually was forced to hop on in part, earning the wrath of my wife, because Thursday night is I don't usually do this on. Joe,
Yes.
you mentioned Grayson. Was that the fan movie? That amazing fan movie
Yes.
from way back? I know they did a trailer. Did they do an actual full version of it, or just the trailer?
They had a full script. I forget what studio is DC locked under.
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers was wanting the script. The guy that wrote the script says, I want some directive part of it. They says, all you'll be is a writer. He said, then you're not getting my script.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right.
Well, I mean,
He wanted the role as Dick Grayson.
Oh no! See, you're just not gonna.
and the thing about it is that if you look at Superman, Superman Lives is the one is the story I really think of whenever I think of something like that, Joe Dog. Because I've had a lot of people that I've known that I've not only have I read about, but that I've talked to personally, who've given me stories like this, or that I've read stories like this where something like that has happened, where they go in front of the studio and they try to have that sort of control, but you don't. When it comes to major projects like that, you don't. Kevin Smith the script for Chasing Amy went around Hollywood for a while before he started making it, and people were like, "Oh, wait, he can write a movie. Like, he's not just dick and fart jokes. Like, he can actually write something that is poignant, right?" And so they brought him in to do some rewrite work. And they said the three options they had. The first one was I don't remember what the first one was. I think if I remember correctly, it was a movie where Michael Jackson turns into a car or something like that. It was something weird. The second movie was the infamously never filmed or even written Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. People have talked about that movie for years, but it never saw the light of day. And he was actually given option to rewrite that, but he said no. And the third thing that they gave him was Superman Reborn. Right? They gave him Superman Reborn. He asked about it. He said, "You guys are going to bring back Superman? I'd love to work on this project." They were like, "Well, we just can't give this to you. Like, this has got to go to like 30 different people. Take the script home, read it over. We'll see what we think." Right? And they kept bringing him back in for meetings over at Warner Brothers, and they would just talk to him for a few minutes and be like, "All right, well, thanks for coming in." And they'd send him out. He didn't know if he was going to get the part or not. And then finally, he went all the way to the head of Warner Brothers and spoke with that guy. And that guy said, "What would you do differently?" He was the first guy to ask that question. And Kevin threw out a few ideas, and they said, "All right, you know what? You got the job. But you have to go meet with John Peters, and John Peters has to be the last. He's the guy that's got to approve everything." And this kept being a back and forth thing with him fighting against the studio and everything else. And he finally got a script that they liked. John Peters liked it. Everybody was on board. Nicolas Cage liked it, right? And they were looking for a director. And who did they get? Tim Burton. And Tim Burton said, "I don't want to use that script. I'm going to bring in my own people." And Warner Brothers was like, "Okay. Sorry,
Well,
Kevin, you're fired."
That's
And
Tim Burton
so
at the end of the day.
Well, I'm just saying that in that system, in that Hollywood system, especially with something with a property as big as the Batman universe or the DC universe at this point, you don't have any say. You've got to just play by their game. And if it works out for you,
we live.
If it doesn't,
We live in the era of the mouse, and I mean, that's just. But at the same time,
well, the mouse is Marvel. But go ahead.
Well, that's why I said the era. The mouse has tried to buy out DC. but they just haven't been able to yet. The point being that was a great fan thing, and the same thing happened with Paramount and CBS with the Axanar. If you want to see the best new Star Trek that's come out in, I don't know, nearly 20 years, look up Axanar. It was a fan-made project, and they had to
Part
make
of it. I've never had time to finish watching it, but I liked what I saw.
that was
It's
really
actually
good.
quite
There's
nice.
actually there's a thing set during the Romulan War, because CBS has now released you can do a fan movie if you make no money on it, and you release it in 2 parts, and there's this whole list of rules they have to follow now. But at least they're letting them do that, in part because of the huge battle that came up with Axanar. I think what we're having is this very strange convolution that back in the days of Grayson, there was this period of time in the early 2000s when people would make these just incredible fake movie trailers. And they were all over the place. But they were always of larger properties. And I think what we're starting to get is, as everything is getting bought up by the same 2 or 3 major entities, more and more creators are going ironically independent. And I would love to see the people who wrote that or wrote things like that reportion it a bit and go through different properties to get it out there. Because I don't know about you, but I'm really getting tired of all the movies being so focus grouped. They all start to look and sound the same. And it's like, I get it's non-offensive, and non-offensive is good. I don't want to offend anybody, but at the same time, there's the pendulum swings so far that sometimes there's a stifling, and it's not just about telling a good story or not being offensive. It's all geared toward telling a story that's profitable, and that's why we have so much nostalgia as a definition in movies today. It's like, I don't know. I think they're afraid to do anything independent, and they're afraid to do anything novel, because at its time, Grayson was left field. It was brilliant. It was a style, because I remember that it was a type of darkness that the Batman franchise in films hadn't managed to accomplish.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, it actually, the dark. Well, I think Keaton had already done the Dark Knight, but it was a darker side of the Batman Robin story,
Right.
and it was more the classic '66 Batman than the the Michael Keaton Dark Knight series or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, isn't Batman Batman '89 hitting a new either animated series or comic? I've been seeing the pre-character design. Isn't that coming up real soon? Has anyone else seen this?
I hadn't seen that.
It seems to be a Batman Beyond movie with Keaton as the old Batman.
Right. Now, I've heard they're debating that as a series too. They're not sure if they're doing movie or series with that. And frankly, I hope DC does it as a series, because of late, the DC TV universe, built on the back originally of Arrow, has been so much better than their cinematic universe. Yeah.
I agree.
The Arrowverse.
The Arrowverse is phenomenal, but then again, DC may be mad, and they may be trying to reset their movie universe because they're frustrated. Like Constantine's getting a reboot apparently without Matt Smith. Not Matt Smith. Is it Matt Smith? Is his name also Matt Smith?
No.
I thought Constantine was Keanu Reeves.
No. From the
that's the movie version. From the Arrowverse.
From the Arrowverse, he had a TV show. Oh, okay. Is that what it is, John Pica? New comics here, Batman: The Adventure Continues. See that I'm all for that too, because at least they're updating the nostalgia they're reaching for.
Yeah. Well, what I've learned is why they're doing all the nostalgia and remakes and all that is copyrights are running out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in a lot of cases, this was an ongoing. This is still an ongoing problem with Dimension Films. Dimension Films owns the copyright to Hellraiser, and so every few years they dole out a really crappy Hellraiser sequel. It got to the point Doug Bradley didn't even want to do them anymore because it was like it's nothing against the character. He still loves playing Pinhead. It's just these movies suck, and I don't want to do them anymore. The Dimension still every once in a while just dole out a new one because they're like, we don't want to lose the copyright. And it's like
Disney's running into that too. But if they're going to keep doing it, why not? Here's a novel thought. Instead of just doing it as a copyright protection, throw some quality behind it. Would that be asking too much? I mean, the first Wonder Woman was a great movie of the new ones. I'm pretty sure that
John says
Nick, to answer your question, would it kill them to put some quality behind these films? Yes. To them it would, because these are properties they want to keep a hold of so nobody else gets a crack at them. And but they don't think that they're going to be profitable ventures, so they're just like, let's just fart out something because who cares?
Well, see, and that's the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly, but you can't explain that to
Well, I hate
idiots.
to say it. Let's look at what happened with the Star Wars trilogy. The latest Star Wars trilogy. The first movie was actually pretty well preserved because it was so nostalgic.
Yeah,
but then they overcompensated and it hit the it hit the where they just wanted to throw canon out the window, and it kind of broke the universe. John Pike is right about Steamboat Willie, but I also think that Disney is such a powerful force in entertainment and just finances. I mean, we are in the era of the megacorp, and I think within 20 years, national borders will mean next to nothing by the time, compared to, corporate alliances. I think that's the level of dystopia we're kind of leaning towards. But
I mean, that's one of the biggest issues with that is that when it comes to these licenses and it comes to producing these films and producing these things that are beholden to particular holders of certain images and ideologies and stuff like that, it really does come down to the fact that they don't actually care about the artistic side of it. They don't look at it from that perception of creating art anymore, creating good stories. They don't care. For them, it's all about the money. I think Civi11, a brilliant YouTuber who does reviews of like old first-person shooters and throwback first-person shooters of today. I think he said it best in one of his little jokes that he was doing, specifically when talking about Star Wars. He has a character on his show called Cancer Mouse who always has bad opinions, and Cancer Mouse was sitting there talking about how the new sequel trilogy is bad because of all of this, all the stuff that people hated about the trilogy. And Civi just interrupts him because it's about the money. It's always been about the money. It's always going to be about the money. Nothing ever changes. And that's really what it comes down to. It's like, unfortunately, that's the reason. It's the same. Well, it's the same reason why when you look at an independent, or not even an independent film, but a new IP, when a new IP comes out of some kind, and let me clarify this and point out that sometimes it doesn't even have to be a new IP in general. Okay. Sometimes it can be an adaptation of something that not a whole lot of people know about. So it's new in the popular zeitgeist. It might be something that already exists, but it's new in the popular zeitgeist.
Matt Ryan. Sorry, Matt Ryan. I knew it was phenomenal. Was great in Flypaper.
It's seen as revolutionary. Oh, it's going to be the new big thing. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be awesome. When the TV show Happy came out, that was one of them that people got super excited about it. It's, oh, this is something new. Well, not really. It's not really new, but it's just they let them go for it because they're like, we're not worried about this not making money because who cares? Do whatever you want with it. We don't care. But when it comes to something that's already a proven moneymaker, they're like, well, how can we get more money out of it? It's the same problem that they have in the record industry. When Devo got a hit with Whip It, well, before that, nobody cared. Nobody at Warner Brothers cared who Devo was. They were just like, it's another band we have on our label that we can make money off of. Who cares?
Right. Well,
but when they got a #1 hit with Whip It, all of a sudden, Warner Brothers executives were coming down to the studio being all like, hey, guys, love what you're doing. It's all awesome. Make sure that your next album has another Whip It on it. And every album after that, until they left Warner Brothers, was some executive or several executives, rather, coming throughout the day going, make another Whip It. Make it. That's all they wanted out of them.
Well, we
try to push them as much as possible because it's just about the money. Nothing has been with them. It's a bit about the art. And I'm not saying that art can't make money. I'm saying if you do art, if you do something from your soul, it will make money because it's from your soul.
See, what there is there's a lot of economic nihilism, where it's about the money, give up. And that's what a lot of people expound. A lot of people also don't know where, and see, I hate that Lewis just took off his headset because I was going to ask him, since he's a guy who's been on the floor, we're armchair guys, right? Hi, Lewis. Sorry about that. We're armchair guys. But if we want to know the process, instead of looking at what another armchair guy, if I want to know what war's like, I ask a veteran. They were there. If I want to know what the internals of show business and trying to fix this, instead of listening to that, Lewis, what do you have to say on this topic?
Well, I've not tried to get anything greenlit through the normal channels. If I want to make a film, I just set up my camera and start shooting, and that's all I've done. I've not actually the biggest commercial success that I've had is my Outdoor Chattanooga documentary, and it's available on Amazon. So great, wow! But I've never tried to have anything pushed to Netflix or Amazon Prime or anything like that. Number one, because they have very specific criteria. They want you to shoot the stuff with a certain set of gear. I'm sorry. I've seen a lot of stuff shot with Canon DSLRs.
Yeah.
It's really high quality. It was well edited and everything. But guess what? Because it was shot with a DSLR, Netflix won't even look at it. And you can't fake it. I mean, they've got ways of figuring out what the original camera was because it's in the metadata. The cinema package, the DCP, the digital cinema package that you have to submit to a producer, to a distributor, it has all the metadata in there. They can, it's like X-ray, it's like seeing the code in the Matrix. They can tell what you shot it with, what your aperture was, everything. It's in the metadata. And so that's why I've never even tried to do that.
And with some of the cameras now, where you were at when you shot it.
Yeah.
I do want to interject one thing just to point out the hypocrisy there with what Lewis was just talking about. Is Lewis saying that places like Amazon and Netflix, well, they won't accept something if it was shot with Canon DSLRs, right? Which are very high quality, fantastic cameras. I will vouch for that. I used to work in the camera department at Best Buy, and I love them. They're fantastic cameras. Let me just point out, Hardcore Henry is on Netflix, and it's been on Netflix since 2018. And that was
basically shot with GoPros.
Yeah, it was shot with Hero 3s. That's such a stupid excuse. Yeah. And if you're one of the, and I know I'm speaking into the wind when I say this, and that none of those people are watching. But if just by happenstance, if you're one of the people that works at one of these corporations who does stuff like that, please get rid of your stupid ideology, because that's dumb. You're preventing a lot of really great films from coming out. And I just want to point out, everything on Crypt TV, as far as I know, is shot with Canon DSLRs. And Crypt TV puts out stuff that's better than anything you've seen on Shudder.
Okay. To answer Nick's question, though, I also belong to a Facebook group called the Frugal Filmmakers. Anybody ever heard of them? Okay, guys that have equipment like I've got, like Skunk's got, that are trying to put out good scripted material. And one person finally perked up yesterday or day before and said, this group has 10,000 members. And 80% of the questions that I see on this forum are, how do you get your project to be shown on Netflix or Amazon Prime? He says, you've got 10,000 people. Be your own Netflix. Between 10,000 creators, we've got enough material. It can't be that hard nor that expensive, especially when you spread the expenses 10,000 ways. It can't be that hard to find somebody to create a platform and somebody to host enough server space to put this stuff on there. And then you sell memberships for a small amount of money, $5 or less, and you'll have a revenue stream. And you don't have to worry about Netflix. You'll be a Netflix.
See, it's funny you say that,
absolutely brilliant.
There is a couple services. One of them is called Curiosity Stream. One of them is not Helium. Shoot, I'm sorry. I watch a lot of documentaries. I watch what?
Masterclass.
Masterclass.
Well, that's a different concept. But
that's different. But Curiosity Stream is one of those where, because I've actually considered trying to get in on something like that, where you're making high quality content that's educational and it's meant as a service. I mean, if you're going to take, don't take the liberal arts version of Curiosity Stream, you know what I mean? Like a creative platform where it's on the merit of the creation, not necessarily the technical. I mean, as long as it runs, you should do that. And if you set it up, man, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I will help whatever I can, to publicize it.
Nick, we've got locally, we've got a test bed for just such a deal.
Ooh.
Do you have Roku?
No, not currently, but is that an app? That's an app, right? It's not a mechanic.
Roku is a physical streaming device. Some of it, I've got a Roku TV in my RV. It's built into the TV.
Yeah, I think it might
my 4K here, I've got it attached to the side. But if you've got Roku, if anybody's got Roku, go to new channel, add a channel, and type in Nooga TV, Nooga TV. A friend of mine and I have been putting some content on there. I mean, anything that we've done for a client, anything that was shot in and around Chattanooga, and we've put it on this service.
So that's Nooga TV?
Yeah, just like Chattanooga, Nooga TV.
Right. My hearing pops in and out, so I had to double check.
Yeah. So check out Nooga TV on Roku, and you'll see a bunch of my stuff on there. I've done, quite a few pieces on there, and we get a lot of views. It's amazing the stats that we get.
I'm glad to hear that, because I don't know if you guys have been following. I follow international news more than a lot of people. So, basically, the Australian government is trying to charge a fee to Facebook to broadcast their news. So Facebook shut down every single page,
Yeah.
site, news link related
Yeah.
to.
I saw that earlier.
Right. Now, see, that as a precedent is something as a creator I am terrified of. So,
Yeah.
especially with Facebook being one of the big guys in the game of social media, I'm starting to look for alternates, and I'm starting to promote,
Well,
because YouTube is pulling similar shade.
Well,
So it might not
YouTube has a very short memory, because you know how YouTube got to be big? Well, not so much YouTube. YouTube benefited. Facebook got really big, okay? And Facebook is what's doing this, because MySpace started getting a little in your face.
Yes, I
And
actually
people were
remember
looking
that.
for an alternative to MySpace, Facebook, and then they blew up. Well, guess what? People will find the next thing besides Facebook. Ultra conservatives found Parler.
Parler, right.
Everybody's got an alternative now. So, Facebook really needs to be careful about who they're blocking and why they're blocking.
That's I'm trying to set up a personal site separate from these guys, because I'd be hosed if Amazon went under, but I don't think Amazon's gonna mess me over too much. You know what I mean?
Probably not. But anyway, we've got this Nougat TV set up, and what we're doing is we've already got a few other cities in mind where we can do this, where it's ultra localized video creators. Okay, putting stuff up for other people in their community. We've got ATL TV planned. We've got Nash TV planned. We're going out, but we just needed a proof of concept. So Nougat TV is that proof of concept, and so far the hits and the views that we're logging are showing that it's doable. Of course, right now we're not charging for the content. So the next step is, besides showing that there is there's a viable market, now we've got to, how do you monetize it? Do you monetize it on our end or on the subscriber end? Subscriber end, you lock it behind a paywall and you charge $5 a month, or on our end we just start selling advertising and be like every other schlep.
Yeah.
So, we got to figure out which one of those is going to work for our type of content and for our type of subscriber. I mean, you've got to know your audience.
Right.
I worked for a weekly newspaper one time, and it was free distribution. We had a higher number of papers out there every week than the local daily newspaper, and we didn't charge for it, but we charged a little bit more for advertising because we had the higher subscriber rate.
Right.
We had higher distribution numbers. So if you can get enough distribution, you can sell advertising for more. But if you don't have the subscribers, you don't have the distribution out there, then you need to make them pay for it. So it's always going to be. And by the way, when the free weekly newspaper decided they were going to start charging and put them in newspaper boxes, it almost went out of business.
Yeah.
That lasted 3 months. They had the expense of all these newspaper machines, and it didn't work. So 3 months we went back to free distribution and just made our money on the advertising, and we're happy as clams after that.
Now they've gone completely online now, haven't they?
No, that weekly newspaper, it's Baton Rouge.
Oh,
you're thinking of the Chattanooga Pulse.
Yeah.
No. I worked for a weekly long before then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this was in the 80s in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and it was the Baton Rouge Enterprise.
Keep in touch with me, because I'm involved with a startup comic book company out of Florida and a few other things.
Okay.
That even if I personally can't do anything with it right now, because my projects aren't really at that level, I might be able to get you some more connections with people who can, and definitely float that project by like Brian K. Morris and them, because you will at least get a lot of views and a lot more interest. If you don't mind, I'd always ask permission. But the next time I'm talking to that crowd, I can start plugging that there, because that's what I do. I plug people covertly and kind of get this skunk zeitgeist going, so that people, it's on people's minds that it's there. And I don't know about you. Print media, I think it's going to change. I think that the cost levels in print media have to come down for the audience, because you're competing with so much free entertainment. I mean, it's just, as long as the internet is accessible, and with the possibility of Joe would know, when does Elon's supposed free internet kick in?
It'll never be free, but it will be affordable in the range of, in major metropolitan areas, it won't be very good. In rural areas is where it will shine. But they're talking $100 a month for high-speed internet. Whereas,
well, I tell you, if I was a full-time RVer, that is an expense I would easily absorb.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And from what I hear, end of the year they're going to pull the geo lock off of them.
What's the geo lock?
Meaning the dish is assigned to a geographical area.
Oh.
You
see, that wouldn't work with a full-time RVer.
Yeah, right now it won't, because it's within a mile of the address.
Oh no, that wouldn't work.
No, see, they'd have to.
But they're pulling that off at the end of the year once they go full scale.
See, I am really like, I'm not one of those people who thinks we shouldn't pay taxes, but I do think our taxes should serve us more than they do. And that seems like the kind of thing that an agency like the United States government should be able to do relatively easily. It's not like they don't already have a lot of satellites and a whole program for putting more satellites up there. Just seems like that.
I'm sorry, John. What did you say?
Nothing. I had something cut in my throat. Wish I could go to the doctor for it.
Sounded like socialism. Hey, Joe, how do you?
I just get how it's rugged individualism for the poor, but socialism for the rich.
Joe, how do you feel about our government-run internet?
I'm not complaining.
A friend of ours, Gary Poole, just posted recently a question. What do you do when your internet goes out? And I said, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I have EPB.
There was one other thing I wanted to bring up about the previous topic we were talking about. When we were talking about media, specifically I was talking about movies, but media where they don't, obviously not the producers, but the executives of the company don't care what they produce.
Yeah.
They just want to make money. And one of the examples that I brought up, of course, was the DCU. And in the DCU, if you look at it, the minor characters in what most people would consider minor characters in DCU, vis-a-vis, I'm talking about Wonder Woman and Aquaman, have these huge movies that everybody gets really super behind. But then when you look at the Batman and Superman movies of late, not the Christopher Nolan stuff that was awesome, but the ones that they've been putting out recently, Man of Steel and stuff like that.
Right.
They haven't been great, and it's been a lot of executive meddling with those. The people who are making the movies want to make great movies. The Zack Snyder's talked about that several times. Like, I want to make the movie I want to make, but the executives don't want me to, because they want to have something that they can advertise and be, what they think, what the people at Warner Brothers think is the right option, because it's going to make them the most amount of money. Meanwhile, you look at Marvel Studios and Disney, the mouse, who they're just going, make us a movie. Here's the money.
They're big enough that they accept they can soak if something goes wrong, But
Yeah, nothing is going on because
it's gambling. It's playing blackjack when you're a millionaire versus playing blackjack when you're playing. You're a 9-to-5 guy.
at the same exact time, the fear that DC is having is that they won't make these people over here. They're not going to, if we give them the option of making these films, they're not going to make a profitable movie. They're going to make something that's going to turn fans away, that's going to make them think the movie's horrible. We have to micromanage everything. And Disney went, no, let them make whatever they want to make. And we believe in these people. We trust them. We put them in charge for a reason. We let them make the movies they want to make. And it doesn't matter if it's R-rated, if it's PG-13, or if it's
I think
all of the Marvel movies that have come out have been fantastic.
Disney does not do well with niche movies, though.
Great, but they've all been pretty good. And I just feel like it's one of those things where if you look at the the DC, and I'm using DC and Marvel specifically because they're perfectly good examples of what I'm talking about. If DC would just let people like Zack Snyder, if they would let them be Christopher Nolan for a moment and make the movie that they want to make instead of the movie they think is going to be profitable.
And that's what happened with the Teen Titans series. DC latched on this dark and gritty thing that didn't work too well in the late 90s, and it still isn't working. Joe was trying to say something.
I've got a question for all of you. Since the mouse has come up, and we're going to go around the table, who do you think Disney has in sight for their next acquisition? Start with Skunk.
I mean, you're gonna have to give us a minute. That's a really, really big question. You know how much stuff is out there that we have to sit here and think about?
Well, Disney goes after big property, so.
Yeah. Well, I know that, but there's a lot of big properties out there. I have to really, you have to give us a minute to crunch on this.
Yeah. Well,
I've been told yourselves. It's Rhode Island is neither a road nor an island. Discuss.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We'll circle
back. Skip your ignorance. Go.
There you go.
I understand that Disney is really interested in Nougat TV, and I am not above selling out for the right price.
You threw me off, Lewis. Stop it.
What do you think? What do you think, John?
I've heard that Disney's thinking about buying the Girl Scouts of America to get in on that cookie money.
I mean, are we giving joke answers or serious answers? Because I'm trying to think of a serious answer. If we're going to go with joke answers, I'm going to say Pornhub.
You're forgetting Disney is fixated on
Disney princesses.
That would be put under TriStar, wouldn't it?
Nick, I do want to point out that Disney also owns Miramax, Def Jam Records, Island Records, Dimension Films.
Yes, they do, and they've been systematically wrenching down genre films since their acquisition. They're making it
some
harder.
Of those weren't acquisitions. Some of those weren't acquisitions.
That would give a whole new spin.
Disney would have a place to be able to R-rated films.
To actually answer Joe's question, I would not be surprised to see Disney targeting Netflix, just flat out trying to buy Netflix as an entity. I could see. I wouldn't be surprised to see them snag other independent comic creators. So, well, not the big three, but like folks like Image or Top Cow would make a lot of sense because they're looking for that whole. We need something that has nostalgia, but also has new ideas. Maybe even Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon would make a lot of sense as being a next.
Nickelodeon's already owned by CBS Paramount.
That's right. So they bought it.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Nickelodeon comes as part of a much larger package.
Now, y'all want to know who I think they've got their eyes on?
Well, we figured you had a theory, or else you wouldn't ask the damn question.
Well, real quick.
Who?
No, not Joe. Let Joe talk.
Comcast.
Oh, I've heard him.
Comcast is NBC.
Universal.
Universal.
NBC Universal.
Yeah. You go
They're
after,
not buying Universal.
No, yeah, and
you
I was
go
gonna
after
say,
Comcast. One, it gives them distribution.
but here's
Universal's
the
not giving
problem,
up
J-Dog.
Comcast.
No. And
No,
here's the thing.
Comcast owns Universal.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They won't. No, they're far too big. You got to look at that's Universal, NBC, 8 million other General Electric. I mean, that's all under the same umbrella. They're
When
way
Disney-
too big.
When Disney
can't.
acquired ABC/ESPN/ whatever
Yeah.
else, that was in the early days when they could still do it. Now, NBC Peacock has their own distribution, their own streaming service, and everybody's gotten much bigger since Disney bought ABC. So that's not going to happen again. I think we've seen that kind of acquisition go bye-bye.
Now,
John Pica makes a really good point for the folks who are listening and not watching. Disney can't go after Netflix. They already own Hulu, and it would be a monopoly violation. That's
I think they could beat. No, they could fight that. It's
I
not
know
enough.
that there's
Too many
a
streaming
lot going
services
on
out there.
with
yeah,
Amazon, and that might be part of why Bezos stepped down, is in part of a forced monopoly breakup. So that would be something to watch, although I agree with Lewis. I think, frankly, I believe that Disney has enough money right now where they could do pretty much anything they want, and up to it, and including buying countries. I mean, wholesale. We are at the point where the corps are bigger than nations anyway, and the sooner we admit it and realize that, the sooner we can, move on into.
Well, that is. The thing about it is that those like Time Warner, AOL, and NBC Universal, CBS Paramount, stuff like that are way too big for them to be able to. But I have one that popped into my head just a few minutes ago that I think that's actually a possibility. It could happen. I could see Disney buying Square Enix. So they would have full control over everything that Square Enix produces from now on, and Kingdom Hearts, which they already have a relationship with them with. That's where I could see it. If they buy Square Enix, Disney owns
who's Disney's in-house comic. What's their in-house video game title studio? I know they have one. What?
Well, I think it's just Disney Studios. I think that's just what they call it. I'd have to actually look it up because a lot of those games are cheaply made and they're not very good.
They don't need. I'm hesitant to see them go after something that's such a internationally rooted
Disney Interactive. That's what it is.
Disney See, that's why I'm saying I don't think they need SquareSoft.
The thing is that
Lucas Games. Good point. But
those the Disney Interactive. Well, Nick, the Disney Interactive label is they typically work with another company.
Right. Well, my point
biggest.
Is, I don't see them. I don't see if Disney wants something, if they want somebody to work for them, they will just throw enough money. I mean, I hate to say it, we're at the point where as long as somebody has a sellable price, they can just do that, and they don't need to deal with merging with an outside firm, especially one that's based internationally, because Square Enix is based out of Japan.
Yes, but
Disney's not going to do that.
But you're also forgetting that there was another international company Disney's already purchased, and it was recently in the past few years. Fox.
But Fox isn't a base. When I say internationally, Fox is an American company with international branches. Square Enix is a Japanese company with American branches. It's a different culture, and the legalities get a lot more complex. There's very little profit for them. Now, somebody said Lucas Games, and we're getting to a really interesting thing where EA is losing their licensing of Star Wars games. And they may not be reissued it, or they're not going to be reissued it in a sole license anymore because the handling of the games has been so bad. So I think right now Disney's more likely to do a lot of things. Just keep it. They've just done a big expansion surge. Settle down, reestablish the House of Mouse, and then build up. So I think we're in that rebuilding period where they consolidate, they shift people around. Especially, you got to realize the acquisition of Marvel was huge. Now, see, yeah, Sony Studios, and that would be more about patching up the ownership of Marvel Comics IP, so that they don't have issues with Spider-Man anymore. That's going to fold Venom back into the mix. So yeah, I can see them buying out Sony Studios, but they also may only buy the portions of the company that is of value. So it's interesting. But,
the reason why I said Square Enix was that if you think about all of the Disney interactive games that have come out in the past few years, the only really successful one, honestly, has been Kingdom Hearts
line of games.
Yeah, it's been Kingdom Hearts. The other big
Sony's catalog is
brand, the other big Disney brand game that has come out in recent years that was getting any kind of major press and stuff in the gaming world was Epic Mickey, and it was a flop.
Yeah,
and that had Disney. That was straight Disney. That was straight Disney Interactive. And so it was like, to me, it's the same thing with Disney going like, well, if we purchase this company, and yes, it is going to be complicated because of international and all that other stuff, but if they purchase Square Enix, it's the same deal with like.
I think you're basically
with Namco.
You're a little too micro on that, Skunk.
Well, Namco. Right, let's go back in the day. Let's talk about if you want to really delve into this and the legalities of all of that with international companies and everything else. Namco owned the rights to several things that Atari had produced. Atari lost the rights to Namco because specifically Namco was part of Atari at the time period. And so Namco, when they split off from Atari, that's a Japanese company. They split off and formed their own deal, right, with the original Namco that already existed. That was just like, you go do your video game thing over there. We don't care. We're Namco. We're over here in Japan doing other stuff. When Atari got profitable, they broke off from them, formed their own studios and stuff back into it because it was all separate anyway, and it made it into a situation where you can. I was reading what Joe wrote in the private chat.
Right. I see the point you're trying to make.
I'm just saying that, like a Japanese company, American company, there can be mergers there.
It's a price for scale right now. Do you know what I'm saying? You're hammering an attempt. I see your point about Kingdom Hearts, but Squaresoft. Part of the reason that Squaresoft merged with Enix was to become big enough to be harder to acquire by companies like Disney and foreign companies that would overwhelm it. That's why. Cool. That's why Kingdom Hearts is a collaboration and not a domination. That is incredibly rare with the House of Mouse. Disney comes in and says, "This is Disney," and they take over it. The only other place you're likely to see that level of split is when you have that Disney Pixar line. It's where you're more likely to get that static point. And Pixar has its own video gaming house. So I'm thinking that if they were going to acquire one, they'd do one with which they have a much stronger overlap, being Pixar. But I see your point of the cross cultures. Now, what I'd love to know is what What do you think the next big title set is? Like, when you look at the surge of new DC movies, Wonder Woman was grotesquely underappreciated, right? I mean, until her movie hit, Aquaman was literally a joke. Constantine is essentially unheard of, but every time it comes up, a mix of hardcore fans and people who love it. So
there were a lot of people that liked Aquaman, and there were a lot of people that did like Wonder Woman. Now, Wonder Woman 84 obviously didn't do that great, but a lot of people did.
There's
like
a lot
it,
of reasons for 84 getting kind of ranked. But what I'm wondering, and what might be discussion worthy, is it because if I say Superman, everyone here knows the story of Superman.
Yeah.
So the only way to tell the story and have it be new is do something completely divergent. But if I said Aquaman to the general public before the Aquaman movie, most people would go, who? So what they have is a backlog of canon that isn't popularly held. So they don't have to be creative, they have to be manipulative with something that's already there. And because people don't know it real well, it can tap lightly nostalgia without interfering with nostalgia. That's why when we were talking about the weirdness with the Star Wars expanded universe, no, the Star Wars EU is not canon, it never was. But for a certain generation of Star Wars fans, especially during the long dark times between the third movie in the original trilogy and Phantom Menace, that was Star Wars. That was where a bunch of us got the new Star Wars. So they're bringing in the timeline of filling it in, not respecting the idea of canon that was already there. This is why there's such a big backlash against the Jodie era of Doctor Who. Part of it, they said, is we're ignoring canon previously because we want to tell the stories you want to tell.
And Nick, I thought you were going to ask me a question. That's why I'm like, oh yeah, I understand. You talked about that earlier.
No,
what's the question?
Well, what I was asking was, what side characters, what sidelines do you think they're going to reach for next
with DC?
Sure, we'll use DC because they're doing the movies.
Well, no, I was asking because I'm not a DC guy.
Okay, so if you're going to say you don't know, that's valid. John,
I got nothing.
What do you think? Where do you think they could tap from, like, DC lineup or Marvel directions that haven't been tapped?
Because I got an answer for Marvel.
I know the DC line. I want to see.
I got an answer for Marvel and what I'd like to see and what I think they might go with.
If I can get John to talk more than 3 minutes on a multi-hour broadcast, I consider it an accomplishment. But the first thing is to make a void in which John can be heard. So
John is strictly eye candy. Okay, he's just a pretty
look good. Okay, I got the green screen. I'm good. You know.
And so is Dan, and he's not flipping out this time. He's looking great over here.
Dan knows we're only going to hear every other.
I'm on the
word anyway.
There were a lot of.
No, I'm hearing everything. I'm hearing everything.
No, but
I'm on the laptop. Last week I was on the desktop. Much on the laptop.
And John still can't talk. You were saying
everybody. John. All right. Show solidarity. Everybody mute except John.
Good night, everybody.
When I was a kid, Marvel Comics had a lot of really good titles that kind of disappeared for and a lot of them in the recent movies got totally rewritten, which is some of them were good. Some of them I can't believe they rewrote them the way they did. But see, what were some of the good ones that I really liked as a kid? And the Marvel one. Well, of course, you got your Teen Titans, and you've never seen them get a real movie. Can you imagine if some of the Teen Titans showed up in like the Suicide Squad movie, that sort of thing? Or DC had what was it? What was it? The Young Justice League or something like that. That was okay. Young, turn your mics back on now.
Called Young
Yeah,
Justice.
Feeling pressure, John?
Young Justice and Teen Titans was also DC, by the way, and so was Suicide
Right.
Squad.
And I'm trying to. Marvel had,
Yeah.
of course, New Mutants,
Good night,
which
John.
I think they're actually trying to make a movie out of.
Yeah, they are. No, I think
Yeah, they
New
are.
Mutants is out.
Hopefully,
Isn't
it'll be
New
better
Mutants
than Generation X. It's in production.
I
Sure,
really
I
like
haven't seen it.
WandaVision.
WandaVision's good.
I didn't know either Wanda or Vision. I wasn't that into the Marvel thing, but watching WandaVision from episode 1 on, it's been like, well, this is really kind of cool.
And what's really funny about that is it is fairly close to the comic books. Because I don't know if I'd be spoiling WandaVision by revealing what they did 20 years ago. Or
I've
actually
seen all
30
but
years
the most recent episode. So,
but in the comic books, it turns out that she gets pregnant by Vision, which he's an android. That's not supposed to happen. Have twins. They've got this perfect life going on, but every so often she'll go to sleep, and the twins would disappear, just gone. She'd wake up and they'd pop back into existence again. Turns out it was all her mutant abilities that were creating this reality that she wanted to live in. And when somebody figured out what was going on and pointed it out to her, she just literally went insane.
wow.
Because her perfect life turned out to be just an
illusion.
Illusion that she had created
Wow.
herself.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. All right, guys.
At one time, in those comics, she actually extincted almost every mutant
No more mutants.
in Marvel Comics.
Joe
Hey,
Dog
Lewis.
Joe Dog pointed out something. Nougat TV is available on the Amazon Fire Stick. So if you've got a Fire Stick, you've got access to it. And just real quick, showing you up here, that's the interface. And there's a lot of content on here, a lot of short films. Here's a short, and all this stuff is filmed in the Chattanooga area. Here's a short dramatic film, less than 7 minutes. I Love You More, by, I think this is done by Physically Awkward Films. Then you've got this little mock documentary on artisan toothpick makers, craftsmen. Then you got Dogberry, which is an 8-minute film. House of Summer. You got comedy. A lot of little short comedy films, 5 minutes and under. There's my outdoor Chattanooga, something I did called Behind the Blue Line. Some stuff for Sculpture Field. You got food reviews, all kinds of stuff. And this is all free right now on Nougat TV. And all this stuff was created here in little old sleepy Chattanooga. So if Chattanooga can support a streaming service like this, then God, what could we do in an Atlanta or a Nashville or a Cincy or a DC or,
Or an independent channel or an independent Netflix.
Well, you see, what it is you get all these small independent cities, and then you start banding together to increase your power.
Right.
I have awesome, not breaking news, but I just discovered it. Apparently somebody streamed a pay-per-view UFC match by pretending to play it on a video game.
Yeah.
He sat there with his controller and pretended like he was playing the game. He streamed it to Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, and nobody caught on that it was a live show.
Well, apparently somebody did.
Oh, it got reported on TheVerge.com. And, but yeah, he got away with it. Nobody shut him down until it didn't get shut down at the time. So he actually got to stream it live to people.
They can take the money back. That's the problem. So
I don't think that was the reason he did it, Nick.
Yeah.
Well,
Now-
what I'm saying is, I'm just saying that it's doable.
Now,
I
Nick was-
get
That's just funny.
Now, Nick was asking about what DC characters, you'd like to see. I've got
Yeah.
mine. When you said it, I picked it out immediately. The Wonder Twins and Gleek.
Hey, that's actually real.
Okay.
I want the edgy Wonder Twin movie. That's what I want. That would be
Okay.
great.
Okay.
Oh, I know what you're
Expand
talking
the
about.
people who don't
John.
know, because we know who the Wonder Twins are. I vaguely remember Gleek, but expand, jokes, because that's delightfully left field.
Jan and Jaina and Gleek. I mean,
Glick was the monkey.
Yeah, Gleek was the monkey.
And John, be very careful here. Because Lewis and I went to the same place when you said that.
Yeah, they were very close for twins.
Yeah.
Who would play though? Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee. Oh wait, they're not together anymore. Who's Pamela Anderson with now?
No one cares.
Oh, I would throw. Oh shoot, what's that girl's name?
If I had a serious answer, I don't know.
Oh,
Sarah,
I
I
have
want
a-
to put two comedians in the role because they were comic relief characters. I want to put two comedians in the role.
Like Wendy and Margaret
Probably
and,
one
Joe?
SNL.
Joe, you got it someday?
I for the girl, her name is
Jan.
Shelley Brennan.
She'd be a good choice. She looks sort of like Jane.
She looks like her.
I'm sorry.
Say it again so Nick could hear you.
Shelley Brennan. She was actually supposed to have been a guest at Halicon this last year, but what happened? And now she has outgrown our budget.
Show.
I would say I would want comedians in that role, Joe. I would say Sarah Silverman and Chris Kattan.
No,
I would
they're
want
too
it to
old.
be a comedy.
They're too old. You need
Do it
twins.
like what you call it? Scooby Doo, right on the edge of just being pervy enough.
there's two
Because
people.
me and Lewis both are thinking the same thing about
There's
the Wonder
two
Twins.
people from that '70s show that would do good.
Mm.
Oh, Fez and Jackie.
No,
That's who I went with. That's what I thought
I
of.
wouldn't get
Fez
Fez.
and Jackie.
What's his name? Played Venom or whatever.
Oh,
Topher
Eric?
Grace.
Well, when they did the Wonder Twins on that '70s show. They actually did the Wonder Twins, and it was Hyde
Tom Hardy?
and Jackie.
Yeah, it should be Jackie and. Why can't I
It was
remember the
they
name?
did Jackie and Hyde. You're thinking of Eric. You're thinking of
Eric.
Topher
Yeah, I was
Grace.
thinking Eric.
It
They
was
do kinda look alike.
Mila
Yeah,
Kunis.
Topher Grace.
But Topher Grace in that episode where they did the Wonder Twins, they did the whole entire Justice League. When they did that parody, Topher Grace was Superman.
Well,
Eh.
I'm not saying for the episode. I'm saying the actor he was referring to.
Right.
It's not
no,
where
exactly.
they put it on that.
Yeah.
But,
He's referring to Topher Grace. I was saying in the episode it was Topher Grace did, but I would say if I was going to choose anybody from that '70s show, I would do Jackie and Fez because Fez and Jackie look like the Wonder Twins. I think. I don't even remember who Fez played in that joke when they did that gag. I do know that Lex Luthor was played by Kurtwood Smith, Red Foreman, and it was one of the funniest things ever. Just Lex Luthor just making fun of everybody, and calling them dumbass. It was great.
But did he steal 30K?
I can imagine that.
He might. Well, I don't know. I mean, it is Kurtwood Smith.
Now
He
they
can get away
have
with anything.
added that to canon. They have made it canon in a comic book that Lex Luthor ended up accidentally stealing 30 cakes
I do.
in a bakery truck because
also
that's 3/10s and that's terrible.
I also
But-
want to point out that it's really disturbing after watching that '70s show to go back and then watch RoboCop because I'm like, no, why is Red Foreman going around like shooting people in the face?
Thank you. I had seen RoboCop before I had seen that 70s show, and I'd sit through the entire that 70s show going, I know what he's going to turn out.
John got the picture from the show.
He
Oh, he
just
played
shoots
Aquaman.
Kelso for being a dog. There you go.
He played Aquaman.
And bonus
Okay.
points for Laura Prepon, simply for Laura Prepon.
Yeah,
Like
and
nothing.
she did. Yeah. Actually,
But,
you know what?
shoot. Guys, I forgot we did not do something.
I know what we did not do.
Oh, God. What's that
Yeah,
damn
that's on you,
cigarette?
brother.
What did we not do, John?
John, do you want to answer or do you want me to answer?
No, I want you to punch the button.
Well,
No, it's this.
Yeah,
we need to
that's
talk
what
about
he
the
was
Rising
talking
Tide
about.
Network.
we do have to talk about that.
Yes, we got to talk about the Rising Tide Network with Comics and Chaos and Sass, Sundays at 10 p.m. Brian K. Morris is Nevermind the Furthermore, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 10 a.m.
I will actually be able to see it tomorrow.
Yeah, and the Clever Title Pending, which is Tuesdays at 8 p.m. TED Talks on YouTube, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. on Tuesday, 11 on Thursday. Clever as Hell, which was on just before us, on the alternating Thursdays. And then, of course, our show, which is Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 and 11, respectively. Of course, the after show, which is, you never know where that one's going. Michaela Jade's Tidbit Scribbles on YouTube, Fridays at 7 p.m. Of course, Armchair Rocket Science, which it just goes whenever. But the best show, I'm going to leave for this guy right here to tell.
The Historical Fencing Guild. Hey, that's my show. Now, every Friday night we talk about sword fighting, go over techniques, new products, new news in equipment. And yeah, come out and see me, guys. I put a lot of love into about a 2-hour program every Friday night. And yeah, it's brought to you by The Simple Sword, my book, which is available on Amazon. And will be also brought to you by The Fighting Axe, which is the book I'm writing right now that I literally hopped off the keyboard to bug these guys about. And that should be up by the end of month, knock on plastic, because wood isn't available. So thank you, Joe.
All right. How'd you like the way I threw that to you, Nick?
Hey, you know what?
great.
I think I caught it pretty good.
The fact
I
that
saw
Nick's
you
in,
skip, and I'm like,
retro
okay.
16-bit.
Well, hey, and the thing about it is that is fantastic. Thank you so much, Joe Dog. But you know what time it is?
What time is it, Skunk?
That's what time it is. Somebody just sent me something disgusting.
Okay, we won't talk about
Okay,
it.
you better keep that to
No,
yourself.
I'm going to talk about it because it's
Yes,
not as disgusting as you
Isn't
think.
that
It's
what I
just,
said?
it's disgusting. Yes, you did.
Okay.
It is disgusting in the way of like, I don't know about Nick, and frankly, I really don't know about Lewis. I do know that me, John, and Joe are car guys. How are you guys about cars?
I like them.
Okay, yes. I am a moderate car guy.
My buddy, and I know Dan's a little bit of a car guy as well. My buddy just sent me pictures of a Pontiac Fiero.
Okay.
A rear engine bomb.
Yeah,
Well,
a Pontiac
mid-engine.
Pontiac Fiero. The Pontiac Fiero
I
with
could
the
probably make a good Batmobile out of one of those.
Coutage body kit.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Look, the Fiero is specifically based off of the Fiero is specifically based off of Ferrari,
Hence
not
the name.
Lamborghini. So if you're gonna do it, you do a Ferrari. You don't put a Coutage kit. What? I just sent him back. I said, WTF, and that's the polite way of putting what I sent to him because I was like,
There used to
ugh.
be
On
There
top of
used to
that,
be-
it was painted black and orange.
There
Like
used to be a
Tennessee
Lamborghini
orange.
here in Chattanooga that was Tennessee orange. Somebody painted it Tennessee orange, and I'm like,
A what?
There was
a
a
Lamborghini.
Countach. There was a Countach in town. It was painted Tennessee
You want
orange.
to know who drove it?
No,
I
really
don't. I don't know, but I've seen the
Seen him on
car.
TV.
Huh?
You have seen him on TV locally.
Oh my God! It isn't Jed, is it?
No.
No, what? No.
No,
Okay.
Jed drives a Miata. Swear to God. Jed drives a Miata.
Don't laugh.
Sky blue ragtop.
Miata
Now,
and fun
I'm
ride.
laughing at the jump from Lamborghini to Miata. The juxtaposition.
Joe, I do want to ask
Warren.
though.
Mark Warren.
Oh, is that Mark's? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, I didn't know that.
It's
Well,
a
that would make
lager,
sense
so
with
don't
it being
so watch what you
Tennessee
say.
orange.
I can say the only person from local Chattanooga television that I could tell you exactly what they drive is Cindy Sexton, for sure. Cindy used to be a customer at my video store when I worked there. She came in all the time. She's very sweet, very sweet. Very wonderful woman. She's fantastic. She drives an Escalade. Or she did. This was almost what?
10 years ago.
Oh my God. Yeah, just about a little less than 10 years ago. Because this was 2006, 2007 technically a little before that, but 2006, 2007 is when she was coming into the store. It was a Cadillac Escalade, and it was very nice.
She ever tell you the story that she was the voice of Bitch and Betty?
No, you were the one that told me that story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how I know that story.
Yeah, Dan?
What's up?
I know what one of Disney's in about 3.5, maybe 4 more years. My niece as an artist in their animation studios. They are right now making her way through college in Savannah.
Awesome. Real quick, I'm going to put I need to put the Rising Tide Network card back up, Joe.
Yes.
45 seconds.
Oh my God, that is. Willow just pointed out something. Yes, it says. Look, it doesn't say creative as hell. It says clever as hell.
See,
Yeah, we need to fix that.
I was reading the.
Somebody's going to have to fix that.
We're gonna have to fix that.
Carl.
Well, hey,
Witzman, you're busted.
We got 45. Technically, thanks to John, we have 45 extra seconds left. So.
All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this.
Wrap it up.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Hey, check us out on the after show.
Yeah, check us out on the after show.
Yep, we're going.
I'm out for the night. I got to get some work done before bed.
Tomorrow.
Couldn't hear you, Joe.
I guess we'll see you Saturday.
Yeah.
All right.
Saturday, I'm putting together my 36-inch Blackstone griddle, though, so I'm gonna be fat and full.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the 22-inch is actually for the RV, so I'm gonna bring it out to the RV. And I went and bought me a 36-inch from Wally World, a Blackstone 36-inch for the house.
Hey, Louis.
So go ahead and get you.
I am going to be
Before about
burning
8
copious amounts of animal flesh.
Louis, remember to respond to that text message I sent you earlier. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
On the DL.
All right. All right.
But the other thing I was gonna say real quick for the Rising Tide Network.
Yes.
Remember, Rising Tide Broadcast Network tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central. Never mind the furthermore. Come join us in the morning. Be part of our morning cheer. It's an absolutely wonderful show. Joe will be there. I will be there. Nick will be there. John will probably be there. And you should join us too.
Yes. All right.
To my chagrin, I got myself composing a rap to never mind the furthermore this morning. I may actually write it down. I don't know it in the public record.
Yeah.
Not with my name attached.
All right. We'll holler at everybody later. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night,
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, I have slept the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds and done 100 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up, up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the windswept heights with easy grace, when never lark nor even eagle flew. And while with silent, lifting mind, I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God.